Before you watch this video, I'd like to take just a moment to talk about safety. And I'll try and keep it short and sweet and to the point because I realize that nobody likes a nag. The simple fact of the matter is that messing around with aerosols or products that are delivered under pressure can be a very, very dangerous thing to do, for many different reasons. Some products use a pressure agent that is flammable, such as shaving cream, which is usually dispensed with the aid of butane. Other products are flammable by themselves even if the propellant is inert, and of course some products combine the best of both worlds. A product that is not only flammable but is also used as the propellant, such as the butane that is used for lighter and small torch refills. There's also the danger of residual pressure being left over in the can and causing an explosive episode to occur when you cut the can open. Likewise, the heat produced by the cutting process can also induce a product that might not normally be considered as flammable to, in fact, burst into flames. So please, don't try this at home. I'm sure that many of you out there in YouTube land are probably pretty familiar with the Easy Cheese brand cheese snack product. But for those who are unfamiliar with the product, the concepts behind it are not at all hard to explain. A cheese paste is loaded into a can just like the one you're probably looking at right now, and then the can is subsequently charged with a pressurized gas through a hole located in the bottom. The hole is then plugged, the product is then whisked to the shelves of your grocer where it waits for you to buy it. And of course when you buy it and take it home, all you have to do is remove the safety cap and then place the applicator tip close to something that is hopefully food. Although if you place it near a fur head, you can probably dispense it there as well, but on your own head be the results of doing that. And you'd probably better get ready to run the other direction and quickly. Well, no matter where you dispense it, the moment you tilt the special valve in the top of the can to either side, the cheese is released as the gas itself expands. Now, this is definitely kind of a neat little novelty item, but like most novelty foods, it's quite expensive. A can of this stuff will set you back at least $3.50, if not more than that, and rarely, if ever, have I seen this stuff on sale. The good news is that Nabisco is not the only company that actually makes this stuff. There are a couple other companies out there that sell cheaper versions of it, and while they're still not what I would call inexpensive, they are at least marginally more affordable. Now, I was shopping recently at a severe discount grocery store in my particular part of the world when I came across one of those off-brands selling the same product, but of course under their own name and presumably with their own recipe. I was even more pleased when I saw that the product in question was on a discount shelf and marked down further from its normal pricing. And of course, when something is priced in that way, you kind of have to wonder, well, is it going to be a hit or is it going to be a miss? I guess I'll say that while the can itself says new and improved, I think that refers to the cheese product more so than it does the actual dispenser. The first time I ever actuated this particular dispenser, it made a particularly loud fart sound, to use a technical term, and it proceeded to spray cheese right into my face, which was probably exactly what I had coming for looking at the output nozzle of the container. Other than that, though, it's worked passably well until tonight when I sat down to make myself a sandwich. And yes, I'll admit that's kind of a weird snack, but then again, any of you who have watched this channel for a while know all about the weird individual behind it, and if this is the extent of my weirdness, I'm probably not as weird as I like to think I am. Well, the can, of course, had other ideas, and after making one sandwich, I moved on to make another, and the can instead decided to produce a cartoon-inspired soundtrack, followed by explosive delivery of cheese all over the ceiling, all over the kitchen table, a little bit on the bread, and of course some on my face before it simply refused to function any longer. I was convinced, though, that there still had to be plenty of product in here based on the weight of the container. So I took this thing across the kitchen, and that's right, I unceremoniously hacked it to bits to reveal what was inside the can. I've actually done this a few times in the past because I have been curious as to just how much payoff of actual product you get out of these things before the gas charge itself is depleted. And it turns out that in most cases, this packaging actually works very efficiently and manages to dispense almost the entirety of the cheese product. Unless, of course, it's like this one, and it malfunctions. And yes, I brutally mistreated a kitchen knife in order to bring you this particular episode of science exploration with UXWBill. Here's the bottom half of the can, although that's more like the bottom third of it, because I wasn't too concerned about presentation when I did this, you may be surprised to learn. You can see the rubber plug in the bottom of the can right there. And then there is the item that makes it all work, which is this plastic disc. This is basically, well, it's more of a cylinder than it is a disc. This plastic cylinder sits between the pressurized gas in the bottom of the can and the cheese product in the top, and you can see it runs right up against the cheese. Now, the efficiency of this is actually surprisingly good. If you look at the sidewalls of the container here, you can see that not a whole lot of cheese is left moored in the can or even gets past this particular cylinder shape. So for those who have always wondered about this and how it works, there's your answer. I actually think that this technique was at some point patented, though obviously it probably is not now, unless of course someone has filed for an extension or patented a variation on the technique again. Now, as you might be able to imagine, the weight of the cheese product shifts in the can as the cylinder and the gas charge move upward when you operate the valve. And a can that has been fully emptied of its cheese product will be very, very light. This one was not. And sure enough, when I looked in there, I saw that there was actually quite a bit of cheese product left. In fact, there was actually quite a bit more than you can see now, because I had about 2 or 3 more sandwiches once I cut this can open. So for those of you who are wondering about how these work and how effective the payoff of these cans normally is, hopefully this video has answered your questions. I would, of course, urge a lot of caution if you ever consider opening the container of any product that is dispensed under any kind of pressure, as some of the propellants can be flammable, such as the butane that is typically used in shaving cream cans, and of course sometimes the product itself, such as certain penetrating oils and lighter fluid and things like that, can be flammable as well. So, and of course that's to say nothing of the possibility for an explosive release of the can when you cut it open and violate the sanctity of the container. So I don't recommend that you try this at home. Learn from what I do, but don't do it yourself. And if you do happen to disobey my advice in that regard, on your own head be it. You are responsible for the consequences of the things you do, no matter where you happen to see them done first. For everyone else who's much more sensible than I am, thank you for watching, and feel free to leave a comment if you have one.